Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
Fatigue surfaces. As helpless as to quicksand, the world carries on. Welcome to Nevertheless Persisting, a show inspired by a moment in time about the moments we persist through over time. I'm Dr. Amy Blackstone. In 2020, I boarded a plane. I caught a virus. It changed everything. Having sociology to make sense of it all kept me sane. I'm a public sociologist, and I'm sharing a lens that could change everything for us all. In this podcast, I'm joined by my husband, Lance. We're a couple of sick and tired child-free Gen Xers who lament the idiocracy that surrounds us, propose solutions we expect will go ignored, and take a moment to check in and take stock. It's haiku day.
It is.
Haiku 575, my favorite version of a poem.
Thought every day was haiku day.
It is. Every day is haiku day, but it hasn't been haiku day on the podcast yet. So it's an extra special day to celebrate. Hooray!
Well, that's awesome.
Also, is it intimidating for you to have a doctor and a poet in the house?
What's the opposite of intimidated called?
Super thrilling, exciting, the best day of your life every single day.
I guess we got to back up. What does opposite mean? The answer is no.
Joyful, wonderful, inspiring. Is it inspiring to have a doctor and a poet in the house?
We'll say inspiring.
Okay. And final question for you. Didn't you think growing up that there would be more quicksand in your life? Referring to that quicksand line
yes,
in my
I did.
haiku.
And I think a number of Gen Xers have made that observation, and I think you can buy that on a t-shirt.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
Wait, no, for real. Yeah. I didn't come up with that.
No, you did not.
Oh.
I will share it with you later.
Okay. This is like memes everywhere.
My thought was, did you read about quicksand in the TV guide? Because I know you never got to watch TV shows that actually had quicksand in them.
That is a fair question. On the rare occasions when I was over at my friend Susie's house early enough on a Saturday morning, and I did get to catch some cartoons, I did get to see the Roadrunner occasionally speeding over quicksand traps that that other guy would set for him.
The coyote.
Yes.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there were a lot of instances of quicksand in the 80s. I have a mental image. I think it was from The Bionic Man, or The $6 Million Man, which is what the show was actually called. But he was the Bionic Man.
Oh.
Where he or somebody got stuck in quicksand. I believe this is true. I have this weird fragmentary image of like a scene from a TV program.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the Bionic Man went na 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 whenever he used his super bionic strength.
No, I thought that was like a Wonder Woman thing for some reason.
There was the Bionic Woman also.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, as you know,
your mom probably only let you see fragments of the Bionic Woman.
I don't know.
In pursuit of raising you as a feminist.
Yeah. We both know I don't know my 70s and 80s and 90s television.
That is correct. All right.
Okay. How you doing, Lance?
We've spent enough time on quicksand.
Okay.
How am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm all right today.
Are you tired?
I've been tireder.
Okay.
So I'm actually feeling pretty good today.
Good.
So yeah, work's been going pretty well the last week or so.
Good.
feeling productive there, which doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Good. I'm feeling pretty good too. I'm enjoying. We're at the end of the world at our place in Eastport, Maine. So we got the ocean to look at, and I'm enjoying one of my favorite rosés from Navarro Vineyards in California. So if anyone from Navarro happens to be listening, I love you.
And wants to sponsor the podcast
I love
with cash or cases of wine.
Noir rosé from the Anderson Valley. I'm sure you're looking for a long COVID podcast to sponsor. Anyway,
Yep.
Enough about that. Back to my haiku. There are a couple of themes that I thought I would discuss with you related to this haiku.
Mm-hmm.
And they are as follows. Theme number 1. I think one thing that I am trying to get at in this haiku is the never-ending quest to describe to people who are not sick how it feels to always be sick. So in 575 form, this is my attempt to be understood.
Well done.
Thank you.
I think we can stop talking right now.
Understand me, fuckers.
This podcast is over.
No.
You've done it.
Come on. I just got Navarro to sponsor us, so we have to go on for at least another 5 years.
Okay, cut that out.
And I also wanted to talk a little bit about how people have always used stories or poetry or other forms of creativity to help others understand their circumstances when they feel misunderstood. And I actually found some really interesting sociological research on that very point that I thought I would share. So let's dig in, shall we?
Sure. Do I get to comment on that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. My thoughts about the never-ending quest to describe not to people how it feels to always be sick. I don't know if that was a sentence that made sense.
That made sense to me.
Okay. Is it's hard to get people to understand, but also thinking about that, it's hard. The starting point for me is it's hard to understand myself. For a lot of different reasons, some of which we've talked about before, but like I feel like I still don't quite have a handle on how to describe it.
Yeah.
And so here's some thoughts, because I actually sat and thought about this for a while, because like it felt like the more I thought about it, the more I kind of was digging but going nowhere.
Yeah.
In a way. But one of the things that I thought about was part of what's problematic about it is that we use words that normal, healthy people have used about themselves regularly. So when we say we're tired, when we say we're fatigued, those are things that normal people, us in the before times, used all the time. But it's not, we use those words, but they don't really quite mean the same thing. And so like one of the things I was thinking, I know you love the fact that I love analogies. But like if we're talking about fatigue, like think about a normal person and they go for a walk. Let's say we make them go for a walk for a few hours. They're just normal fitness person. And let's assume they're pushing themselves. So if they're out there walking for a few hours and they're pushing themselves, they're going to get tired.
Correct.
Right? They're going to get fatigued. Their body is going to start to kind of slow down or want to slow down.
Right.
Mentally, they may lose some of their edge.
Yeah.
But the big thing is that that's kind of predictable. And it's kind of a linear process.
Right.
Right? Like the more you go, the more you get fatigued.
Yeah.
The harder you push, the faster you get fatigued. fatigued and fatigued.
Fatigued. You're getting fatigued.
I'm getting fatigued right now. But the thing is, like, there's like a linear, predictable relationship between those things. And also, like, if you sit down and rest, depending on your fitness level, you may feel perfectly fine.
Right.
Within 50 minutes or an hour, or definitely the next day if you get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
Like, everything kind of gets reset to baseline. And the problem is that is not what happens to people like us. Right? There is no linear connection between these.
Right.
There's some predictability.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more obscured.
Yes.
Right? Like, I mean, you kind of know for sure if you do X, you will feel like shit.
Right.
But then there's this whole range of things that are like, well, maybe I won't. Today I didn't. Yesterday I didn't.
Yeah.
Today I did. Like, there's just no predictability behind it. And then also, just when you hit that wall, it ain't normal fatigue.
No.
Right? It's like this is one of the things I really struggled with, which is trying to kind of explain, even to myself, the difference between what I used to feel as fatigue and what I feel as fatigue now. And like, for me, I can go for a walk and kind of push myself. It's the new pushing myself, maybe for an hour.
Right.
And the thing is that, like, at the end of that, I'll be done. But most of it I'll feel in my head. Not in my body. I won't feel sore or tired necessarily the next day, but my entire body will just feel like it's completely out of juice.
Right.
And the closest thing I can think of is, like, when we used to do distance running and you didn't eat right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you had this kind of, like, you'd run and it just felt like all of a sudden the fuel wasn't there.
Yep.
Like, I remember I'd be running and I'd be walking before I knew that I was walking.
Yes.
And I might even be walking for a minute or two and be like, holy shit, I stopped running.
Yep.
And it's that, like, I remember it was always when, like, I was in double digit miles, right?
Yep.
Like 10 or 12 miles of running. And you just hit that point where it's like, I ran out of food and there's nothing I can do to get it in fast enough to recover now.
Right.
So, I mean, the thought that I could walk for 1 hour today and then feel like I had run 10 miles the next day.
Yeah.
But, like, at that exact moment.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the, like, but again, it's really hard to explain.
Well, and you make a good point about how, like, the language that we use just doesn't apply. Like, when you said, you keep using the word fatigue, and I keep, like, cringing every time you use it, because I realize as you're talking that fatigue has come to mean something completely different to me now than it did. That word has a completely different meaning to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use that word to describe anything I experienced now before long COVID. I mean, I used it before I had long COVID, but today it means a feeling that I have now that I never had before long COVID. But of course, I would not have understood that before. And I wouldn't know how to explain it to someone because I wouldn't have understood it before.
You have now repurposed the word to mean something different.
Yes, I've changed the meaning.
And everybody
of the word.
else is still using it the old way.
Right, right. Yeah.
And so that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
And
yes,
like the other one other piece, and I'm almost done here, but one other piece is, like, there's never a good tired or a good fatigue. Like in the good old days when you'd exercise and at the end you'd have that kind of, like, endorphin rush. I'm tired, but I've got this, like, you know, the wonderful chemical soup running through your bloodstream that makes you feel good. This never happens anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure, like, it's probably, you know, like, well, I said endorphins, right? Like, I'm sure, like, there's no way I can get to the point where I can exercise at a level where my body feels the kind of fatigue that kicks that off is my theory. But like, that's another piece of it, is like, there's never even like the payoff that you get from exercise that puts you into that fatigued state. So anyway.
Yeah. I just
We
want
don't have
to
a word.
wrap this theme up with a quote from an article that I found on the Mayo Clinic's website that talked a lot about how, well, this challenge that everyone, or that most people with chronic illnesses report having, around wanting people to understand what they're experiencing, but the difficulty of explaining it to others. And then this article goes on to sort of describe the challenges of a chronic illness. And I just want to read one quote from the article to give people just a glimpse of the impact. A single chronic condition typically requires around 2 hours a day to manage. At any given time, 38% of people with a chronic condition report that they do not feel they can sustain the day-to-day treatment efforts they are already doing. The bulk of these challenges, much like the illness itself, remains invisible to their social circles and even to healthcare professionals. So that's people with one chronic condition.
Right.
Over a third of them don't feel like they can manage every, day-to-day shit.
Well, yeah, I 100% resemble this, and I know you do. Like, every day is constant triage, and every day is deciding to let some things go till tomorrow or next week, or sometimes till never.
Yeah.
And there is a quote in that article about, these symptoms are usually invisible to others. And my thought was, yeah, like, we've talked about how it's not fun to put these symptoms on display.
No.
First of all.
No.
So part of the problem is most people don't see the full bore thing.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this in the past, where I had a friend who had Lyme's disease, and I won't go into the whole story, but seeing him one day, after knowing him for years, and then seeing him one day go from kind of what I knew of him as normal, which was always pretty slow and seemed tired, to like literal shutdown.
Yeah.
Like, watching his face.
Yep.
If you don't see that, it's really hard to have any insight. But the whole thing about the symptoms being invisible to others, if you're not putting them on display to other people, you're kind of into self-fulfilling prophecy mode, right? Which is, you're not showing your symptoms in public. You're avoiding being in public when you feel that way. Being in public exacerbates the symptoms. So there's kind of all this buildup to just avoid any situation in which people will see you.
Yeah.
And so
cyclical.
like, even when if people don't see them, they have the symptoms, they have kind of almost zero chance of understanding what you are going through. Even if they see them, it's really hard for them to understand the extent.
Right.
But like, there's layers to this.
Yeah.
And it like we've already talked about, it's so hard to even explain what they're like. You can't explain it. You can't see it. Of
Right.
course they're invisible.
Right. Yeah. Let's move on.
Okay.
So the other theme I wanted to talk about was how people have always used stories, poetry, and other forms of creativity to help others understand their conditions. And certainly this is something we do in sociology too. We usually call it narrative analysis if we're sharing or analyzing other people's stories. But basically, it's the same thing we do in social science, looking at other people's stories, or the stories that people tell about themselves and their lives, to make meaning out of broader patterns in society and to understand humans and humanity. So when I was thinking about my own effort to feel understood by writing this haiku, I was like, oh my God, I'm doing the thing that sociologists talk about what people do. So I decided,
I'm a sociologist being sociological.
Right. So I went real meta and decided I'm going to look into what sociologists have to say about the stories that sick people tell about their own stories. So I did that. And I found this awesome book that I can't believe I didn't know about, called The Wounded Storyteller, written by a sociologist by the name of Arthur Frank, medical sociologist. The Wounded Storyteller was first published in 1995, and then a second edition was published in 2013. It's still like cited all over the place. So this guy's is a big deal. Medical sociology is not an area of mine, if you hadn't noticed, since I'm new to this guy. But anyway, Arthur Frank talks about, in particular, medical conditions that don't have super clear scientific explanations or have kind of contested statuses in the medical community, and how there are conflicting narratives of those conditions, and that particularly with those conditions, there are three main kinds of narratives of those conditions. And I would put long COVID in the category of the kinds of conditions that I'm talking about. And I thought this way of thinking about those illness narratives that Arthur Frank talks about was really helpful. And I wanted to share those three categories of narratives because I think my poem fits in one of those categories. And I think the way that we talk about our own long COVID stories fits really neatly into here too. So forgive me while I go into lecture mode for just a couple of minutes.
I'll be over here drinking my wine.
Okay. Arthur Frank's three basic types of illness narratives are restitution narratives, which are the most common and most popular type because they conclude in triumph. So like the media loves this kind of narrative. It dominates in film and illness memoirs. And these are the narratives where the disease is conquered and the doctors are heroes, patients are victims. So we need to be rescued by doctors. Next, so that's restitution. The next type of narrative is a quest narrative. And in this form of narrative, the sick person is their own hero, and the suffering that the sick person experiences brings knowledge, which they share with an audience who bears witness, and there's some form of transformation for the better. And the audience and the sick person are charged with accepting and learning the lessons that the experience conveys. So I think there have been illness memoirs that fall into this category. Don't ask me to come up with one off the top of my head, but I'm sure
I'm
they
guessing
exist.
if he wrote this, that there probably are.
Yeah. And then the chaos narrative. Arthur Frank says that most people rarely encounter this narrative because those living in it are rarely able to share it. As Frank himself says, this is a quote from him, "To turn the chaos into a verbal story is to have some reflective grasp of it. In the lived chaos, there is no mediation, only immediacy. The body is imprisoned in the frustrated needs of the moment. The person living in the chaos story has no distance from her life and no reflective grasp on it. Lived chaos makes reflection and consequently storytelling impossible." So just thinking about those three forms of storytelling and of thinking about our experiences, I think I frankly have been in chaos for much of the past 5 years, but I feel like I'm moving toward quest and becoming my own fucking hero.
Dun, dun, dun.
And having Substack has helped with that. I feel like Substack is my way of telling my own story and becoming my own hero.
Right.
And having this, like, what's that called? Typology of narratives was really cool and helpful.
Yeah, I really like this breakdown. Big fan of bulleted lists.
I know you are.
Yeah, but anyway, I'd say you've been on a chaotic quest, and I don't see that changing.
Wait, chaotic quest. One of the narratives is called chaos, and one is called quest.
Right, you're on a chaotic quest.
Okay, cool.
Even your quest is chaotic.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
I in my head, I tried to do, as a former Dungeons and Dragons player, I was thinking like lawful good, chaotic evil. And I thought, oh, chaotic quest seems like it should be more of a matrix than just a list.
Oh my God, of course you went there. Of course you did.
Uh-huh.
Love it. Well, as I said, Arthur Frank's work is clearly, what's that word? Seminal? What's happening to my brain?
I don't know. It feels like we're talking about sex now.
Is seminal a word? Very important.
Right. Because
it's still being cited today. I'm going to share 2 other citations in our show notes of articles that were just published in the last year. One using Frank's model to apply to patients' narratives, patients who have ME/CFS and their narratives of recovery, and the researchers applied Frank's model to those narratives of recovery, which I thought this analysis is really cool. I'm scanning my notes to see if I can find a quote I can read easily, which I can't, so I won't. Anyway,
do we need to take a program break?
Yes, I need some more of my Navarro Rosé and a program break. No, just kidding. We don't.
Yeah,
I'm good. Let's wrap this thing up.
Let's.
Okay. So I think that in order to make people understand what this chronic illness thing is all about, is the best way to do it would be to just give everyone a chronic illness.
Is that kind of like when in high school when you made all the girls carry around a fake pregnancy?
Yes, it's exactly like that. And then suddenly there were no more teen pregnancies in our high school. It solved it like that.
Solution.
Right. And at the rate we're going with COVID denialism and vaccination declines, we're going to get there soon enough anyway. So problem will probably just naturally solve itself. But if it doesn't, another solution I have is everyone who has an illness, tell your story. And everyone else, just fucking shut your mouth and listen.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Sounds great.
You got any solutions?
I don't.
Awesome.
Well, I'm going to keep doing this podcast. Maybe that's part of the solution.
Okay.
For some people, at least.
I like that.
All right.
And Navarro can sponsor us. All right, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for persisting with us through this episode of Nevertheless Persisting. We drop new episodes on Wednesdays, long COVID willing, and you'll find us most places you can find podcasts. You can listen to our episodes ad-free on Patreon for just $5 a month. And you can also support us by sharing the podcast with a friend and leaving a 5-star review wherever you listen. Thank you so much for your support. It truly means the world. Until next week, keep on persisting.